Good day, class. Welcome to our modular distance learning in TLE 10, Quarter 3. We are now in Lesson 3, and our topic is Perform Weeding and Cultivation. These are the following objectives. Letter A, define weeding and cultivation. Letter B, identify the types of weeds and methods of controlling them. And letter C, value the importance of weeding and cultivating. Before we start to our topic, let me show you these two quotes. Try to figure out what is the missing word. This is composed of 5-letter word. It is considered as undesirable plants. So what is the missing word that suits to this quote? Okay, let us see if you get the correct answer. Okay, so the correct word is weeds. First quote is, your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. And the second quote is, don't spend so much time pulling weeds that you forget to grow your flowers. Let us see if these two quotes has something to do with our lesson. Okay, so let us first define what is weeds. Weeds is any plant growing where it is not wanted. Can cause considerable yield losses in vegetable crops because the weeds compete for light, water, carbon dioxide, and soil nutrients. Okay, so what is weeding? It refers to the removal of weeds. Weeds are many home gardeners' biggest enemy. Herbicides and other chemicals may seem like the best weapon in the arsenal against weeds. The process of weeding is done because weed competition with crops reduces agricultural output in terms of quantity and quality. Okay, so what are the types of weeds? The different types of weeds are discussed by INGO year 2005 and Kala year 1977 as follows. First, we have grasses. These are monocotyledonous plants which have long, narrow, two-rank, usually flat leaves with parallel veins and round and hollow stems. These are examples of grasses. Next, number 2, we have sedges. Sedges are similar to grasses but have three-rank leaves and triangular solid stems. As you can see in these pictures, these are examples of sedges. Next, number 3, we have broadleaves. These are dicotyledonous plants with net-veined leaves. As you can see, these two are examples of broadleaf weeds. So now, let us discuss the methods of weed control. The following are the methods of weed control. Number 1, we have start with prevention. As the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. Prevention, also known as exclusion, begins with securing clean seeds and feed sources. Care should be taken to select seeds and feed sources that are free of weed species. These pictures illustrates a manual weed prevention. These are the following ways of preventing weeds. First, build healthy soil with compost and mulch. Soil organisms protect plants from many diseases and insect pest problems. Next, select pest-resistant plants and place them under the sun or under shade with proper growing medium. Third, clean up disease-infected plants and compost dead plants to reduce hiding places for insect pests. Next, pull weeds before they produce seeds and spread. And last one, use a variety of plants. So if pests attack one plant, others can fill its place. This picture shows the good bugs, like ground beetles, ladybugs, and lacewings. They help control pests. Next, number 3, use of chemical pesticides as the last resort. If you use a chemical pesticide, use the least toxic product and spot apply it. Do not spread it all over the yard to kill a few weeds or bugs. These two pictures illustrates the use of chemical pesticides. Apply pesticides only when and where you really have problem. Follow label instructions exactly. Next, number 4, we have cultural methods. Under this, we have letter A, replace problem plants with pest-resistant ones. If a plant, even a tree, has insect pests or disease problems every year, it is time to replace it with a more pest-resistant, site-adapted variety or another type of plant that does not have these problems. Next, we have letter B, crop rotation. Is the planting of different crops in succession in the same field. Letter C, field sanitation. Sanitation from the perspective of weed management refers to the practice of minimizing the movement of weeds that are found on the farm to other parts of the farm. This picture illustrates the primary activities of field sanitation. It involved keeping equipment free of seed or other reproductive parts of weeds, and ensuring that field boundaries and other non-crop areas are kept free of weeds capable of reproducing. And last number, we have number 5, mechanical or physical control. This method of weed control is done by depriving the weeds of complete sunlight, cutting them, and burning them. The, the practices involved are hand pulling, hoeing, cultivation, mulching, and smoothing. These pictures illustrates the mechanical weed control. Okay, so why should we control weeds? According to Reyes, year 1977, we control weeds because of the following factors. First, weeds cause a decrease in crop production because they compete for nutrients, moisture, light, and space. Also, weeds increase labor and production costs. And some weeds harbor plant pests, which may affect plant growth and yield. Another factor is weeds clog irrigation and drainage canals or ditches, thus hampering the flow of water, which results in overflow and waste of water resources. Some weeds are injurious to man and animals because they bring allergies, skin irritation, and some are poisonous. Next, weeds lower land value. And last one, roots of weeds interlace with roots of plants, which makes cultivation and weeding difficult. Another way of weed control is by means of cultivation. Cultivation is a tillage operation of loosening or breaking up the soil about growing crops or plants in order to maintain the soil in a condition favorable for the plants. This picture illustrates the process of cultivation. So what are the benefits of cultivation? Number one, it controls the growth of weeds. The best way to control weeds is to remove the bitter roots, and this is only accomplished through cultivation. Next, number two, cultivation aerates the soil to facilitate the respiration of plant roots and microorganisms as well as to supply nitrogen for nitrogen-fixing organisms. Cultivation also creates more spaces between soil particles to accommodate air. Next, number three, we have cultivation helps conserve food materials in the soil. It is generally known that when cultivation controls weeds, moisture is conserved because dead weeds have no more chances to use the soil moisture as well as food nutrients in the soil. And number four, cultivation makes the topsoil loose to increase its capacity to absorb water. There are two ways of cultivating the crops. First is the healing up. It is usually refers to loosening or breaking the around the growing plants, either in rows or per hill. The primary purpose is to cover the applied fertilizer, cover the base of the plant, and to control the growth of weeds. And next is we have off-barring. The soil is cultivated away from the growing plants. As you can see, this illustrates the off-barring cultivating of the crops. Also, we have to consider the frequency of cultivation. The ideal way of taking care of an annual crop like vegetables is to keep the field free from weeds and the soil in good tilth all the time through cultivation. This is usually done in gardening and when a field receives about the same amount of attention. Next consideration is the depth of cultivation. As a rule, cultivation should be done at a depth of about 5 centimeters. It should be deep to control weeds. It is not advisable to cultivate deeper than it is necessary to kill the weeds because the roots of the cultivated plants may be injured. And the last consideration is the time of cultivation. Cultivation is done after planting and before the crops cover the ground. Since cultivation is actually a process of working the soil. The rules governing plowing with reference to the condition of the soil should apply to cultivation. Okay, so to sum up, these are the points to ponder. You have to keep in mind that weeding is an important control method practiced in many crops. The removal of weeds is useful because these unwanted plants compete with the crop for space, water, nutrients. Weeding also helps to loosen the soil. Water can infiltrate more rapidly and roots of the cultivated plants can develop in a better way. Okay, now, I want you to do this activity number 1, and this is considered as your written task. Write a short report about 200 words on how you practice weeding and cultivation. Include here the disadvantages of using chemicals to control weeds. For your activity 2, which is your performance task, I want you to prepare a poster about weeds. Use a 1/2 size sheet of cartolina. Any color will do. Then make a 3-stanza poem about weeds too. Your poem will be written on the poster. You have to consider these following rubrics in your activity 2. First, the title of the poem. If it shows the relevance to the theme or the topic, this is equivalent to 20%. Next is creativity. If it shows your imagination and emotional impact, that is equivalent to 35%. And last one is coherence. If it shows the quality of being logical and the harmony of words, that is equivalent to 45%. So for a total of 100%. Okay, now I want you to write a reflection after taking this lesson in your notebook. Write at least 2 to 3 sentences. I learned that blank and I realized that blank. Okay, so that's the end of our lesson 3. I want you to compile your answer sheets in your portfolio and be ready on the date of submission. I am your ma'am, Heidi. Thank you and good luck. Okay na yun?